Welcome! On this episode, we'll be taking a look at Subterrania for the mighty 16-bit Sega Genesis, released in March of 1994. This game has a cool intro, so let's check it out. I'll be playing Subterrania on my modified Sega Genesis Mini. Let's take a quick look at the box. Wanted, light speed reflexes, total concentration, and nerves of steel. Let's get into the game. Here you see the mission briefing screen, where it tells you your objectives for each mission. From the manual, let's talk about the plot to this game. The pressure is on. On an off-world asteroid, a red fire wipes the sky as headquarters explodes. Hostile alien forces have invaded the vital subterranean mining colony. The operation is blown sky high. Workers are trapped in crevices and chasms, helpless against the clouds of radioactive dust swirling towards them. Take control of the experimental attack fighter, the only weapon even remotely powerful enough to repel the alien attack. Beginning to mission from a combat base. Return to base with a mission accomplished, or count yourself a failure. Pick up special weapons, fuel and shield recharges. Don't expect much help. Your one-of-a-kind fighter is still in the research stage. Indispensable equipment will be delivered to every area, but you have to find it. It's very convenient in all these Doomsday scenarios in video games how we always have some kind of experimental weapon that's at the ready. So the objective of this first level is you have to pick up some spies, then pick up the sub-module, and then return to base. Easy enough. Check this out. Look how cool this guy is. This is who you are. I don't know why he's stuck in that position, but I guess that's how you get into the ship. Now that we're here on stage 1, let's talk about the gameplay. So Subterrania is a shooter, and like Solar Jetman on the Nintendo, there's a gravity that you have to deal with, which makes it kind of interesting to control. This game has rotate left and rotate right on the L and R positions on the D-pad, and back is reverse thrust. But they have forward thrust mapped to a button, which I've changed to up, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the way I'm playing it. When playing this game, I kept thinking of the game Operation, because how you can't touch the sides. This game is a lot like that. You're constantly like threading your ship through the environment, trying not to touch anything, because you'll take damage. And here you see I'm just floating, just letting the gravity pull me down slowly. There's a lot to manage in this game. You have to try not to hit anything, and then you have to try to shoot down the guys before they hit you. And also you have a fuel gauge. Here's the first sub-module. Now you have to pick up 6 of these before you actually get to use the sub-mode. And there you have it. That's the first mission completed. Is it just me, or does this look like a dog? The spy group you rescued report the aliens have built a Doomsday device. They believe by destroying it, you can retrieve our troops and the submodule. Wait till you see this Doomsday device. Now I wish at the beginning of each stage it would show your dude being dropped in there, but that only happens once. I think the presentation of this game is pretty good. Despite being based underground, this game has a pretty bright color palette. The character design and animation is also good, but where I think this game really shines is the music. Most of the music tracks in this game are over 5 minutes long, which is really rare for a cartridge-based game. You can see right here why you shouldn't touch the side. Look how fast that killed me. This game has a reputation of being overly difficult, and while I don't think that's true, it is a pretty tough game. The gravity and momentum really take some time to get used to, but they are manageable if you give it some time. I haven't talked about the mega on the screen. If you don't fire your weapon, you build up that mega bar, and it'll shoot out a large shot when it's built up. The blue canister I just collected is a weapon upgrade. There are blue, green, and red weapons, and I believe there are 3 levels to each one. In the mission briefing, it described a rail system. That's what I'm using here. The ship is attached to the rail, and it makes it a little easier to aim because you're not floating around, fighting gravity. And here, coming up from the bottom of the screen, you get a glimpse of the Doomsday Weapon. So this so-called Doomsday Weapon, it's got 3 faces and it's got this tail that throws you around. So you have to destroy each face individually along with the tail, and then this thing will come crashing down. And that's it for the Doomsday Weapon. This game does have some good explosion sound effects, which I think you gotta have in a shooter. Now that I've destroyed the Doomsday Weapon, I can access this area and pick up the sub-module and rescue the hostages. I like that it says mission accomplished when you still haven't picked up all the hostages. I guess that last guy is not important. So, buy, rent, or leave it on the shelf? This game is a buy. Its mission-based gameplay, in which you have to accomplish objectives, is a fun twist on shooter gameplay. The different objectives really change between levels and make each level unique. And the level of difficulty that this game brings, you're not going to finish it in one play session. It's going to be something you have to come back to multiple times. Well, now you know how I feel about it. Let's see how it was reviewed upon its original release back in March of 1994. From the April 1994 edition of Electronic Gaming Monthly, number 57, with Beavis and Butthead on the cover. Also on the cover are two typos. Can you spot them? Let's look inside for a Subterrania full 2-page write-up. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. Hey, it's a shooter with a purpose. The play control and variety of missions make this cart a blast to play. The bad. You've got to play this cart a few times before you get the hang of the controls. Once you do, look out. The ugly. The floating skull with the tail in the second level reminds me of a girl I used to date, hence the ugly? Wow, this guy's got problems. Maybe he's saying she was a Doomsday Weapon. I don't know. We also have the first mission map here, along with a fact file. 16 mega power. Let's see what the review crew had to say. The review crew for this issue is Ed Samrad, Daniel Carpenter, L. Manuel, and Sushi X. The game of the month was Tempest 2000 on the Atari Jaguar. If you'd like to see a Jaguar review, comment below. Ed Semrad gave it a 6 and said, "This cart has a good concept behind it as it reminds me of the old coin-up Gravatar." Daniel Carpenter gave it an 8 and says, "Now here's a game with originality. Subterrania offers tons of strategy, but not without some agonizing features." Al Manuel gave it a 7 and said, "Subterrania is one of the better shooters to come out for the Genesis in a long time. It's also one of the more original shooters with an interesting story and unique gameplay." Sushi X gave it a 7 and says, "Some may find the deliberate pace maddening, but if you like strategy games in the vein of Choplifter, then you might want to check this one out." Let's head over to GamePro and see what gamer faces they gave it. From the May 1994 issue of GamePro, with the making of Mortal Kombat 2 on the cover. Inside, we've got a review by Slow-Mo. He starts off by saying, "Gravity. It's not just a good idea, it's the law. Subterrania pushes the physical, legal system to create a great shoot-'em-up." What? You'll dig the concept of this underground shooter. Excellent graphics and perfect controls make this one of the best games of the year. Graphics, 5. Sound, 4.5. Control, 5. Fun factor, 5. So there you have it. I was pretty surprised when looking up reviews to this game because it got good reviews pretty much everywhere. I'm not surprised because it's a bad game getting good reviews, because it is a good game, but I've heard on the internet that this is one of the worst selling games ever released by Sega of America, so I guess good reviews and a good game don't necessarily get you sales. Also in this issue of GamePro, there's an interesting 2-page spread here. Smashing the myth of speed and power, a blast of hot air. This was some counter advertising by Nintendo put out to try to answer the blast processing commercials that Sega was running about the Genesis at the time. It would show Sonic running around, and then it would show Mario and say, "Look, this one's faster, it's got blast processing, yada yada." Well, blast processing wasn't real, it was just a marketing term that they came up with, but it was based in reality. The weakness of the Super Nintendo was its clock speed of its processor, which was a Ricoh 5A22. The clock speed of this chip was 3.58 megahertz, whereas the mighty Sega Genesis contained a Motorola 68000 CPU clocked at a blazing 7.6 megahertz, or about twice the speed of the Super Nintendo. There are some funny points on here that I guess Nintendo's trying to make, like, the truth is that you could put Sonic on the Super NES and have him race across the screen just as fast. The Super Nintendo controller has 12 buttons to 8 for Genesis for greater gameplay versatility and better control. Data retrieval is 280 nanoseconds for the Super NES, 80% faster than the Genesis. Okay, really? And here in the Q&A, which system has a black control deck? The Genesis. Yep. Which system has Mode 7 effects? Super NES. Which system uses electricity? Both. This is just a ridiculous advertisement, and I would have liked to have been present when they were coming up with all these points, which they are salient points, but most people just don't care about memory speed and whatnot. I mean, as we've seen time and time again with these generational wars, it comes down to software. Like, whatever's got the best games is going to win. Anyway, we've come to the end of another episode here. Thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe so you can catch the next one, and I'll see you then.